the deal. They get their outdoor adventure. You get your comfy bed and hot shower. Everyone's happy. It's called glamping. It's 20 minutes away, and it's about to save your next vacation. Hi, I'm Sandy Boble Zuniga, the founder of Colorado Springs Town Tidings. Be in the know on the go for all things Colorado Springs, delivered right to your inbox. Today, I'm with Chris Jeub from Monument Glamping, where he and his wife Wendy have created a retreat that beautifully blends outdoor adventure with luxury comfort. What started as a backyard experiment has grown into something that's changing how locals vacation. Welcome, Chris.
Well, thank you for having me, Sandy.
I am so intrigued on this topic.
Yeah.
And once I started to get to know you a little bit on your life. So I've got a question. You and
Yeah.
Wendy went from raising,
You can't stop laughing. I just revealed something right before we started. The big reveal. Told you the secrets.
you
Yeah, go
went
ahead.
from
Go ahead.
raising a house full of kids to hosting strangers on your property.
Mhm.
How did the empty nest moment turn into let's build a hospitality empire? But before that, give me some background. Where did you come
Sure.
from? Who are you? What
Okay,
is
I'm
this
going to
big
tell it.
family?
I will reveal to the viewer how many kids I have, but my wife and I met and married in Minnesota in the 90s, and we moved here in 2000. So we've been here for 26 years. And it's been great. We have a big, beautiful family of 16 children, and that was the big reveal. That's why you can't stop laughing, Sandy, because I had to show you pictures. You didn't believe me for a
Yeah,
good 5 minutes, but I had to show you.
show
So
that picture. The viewers
I
need
had to
that.
dig this out from behind the bookshelf. There's my family. Now
Now, here's
they're,
the
they're not all
question
the
though.
same age. They're all different ages, so we're able to maintain sanity. The oldest is 42, the youngest is 14. We have three left at home, so we feel like the light's at the end of the tunnel. And but yeah, it's a big happy family that we have, and I've got 22 grandchildren. And I was going
Wow.
to say that picture that I just took a couple days ago. We had 14 grandchildren at the home when one of our sons was visiting from Tennessee. So my offspring spreads across the world. I have an Australian daughter and kids in Arizona and Tennessee. Where else are they from? They're mostly in Colorado here.
Okay. So what got me is you have 16 kids
Mhm.
and normally it's like maybe adoption, maybe you took some in for um, other
Actually, my
reasons.
wife, my wife has birthed 16 children.
Right.
Now, I adopted her first two children. She was a teenage mom when we met married, and so I only have 14 biological children. But that's our life. We were on TV in 2007, and we really just have and most of I now I've been an educator for 35 years, and I that's what my my degree is in education. So I've been in and out of the classroom about in the last 35 years, about 10 years, was in the classroom teaching English. But I we could pivot now to glamping because that's the interesting part, isn't it? And I even told you this is going to hijack the whole conversation if I talk about how many kids I have. There's all sorts of questions your viewers probably have. Wow, wow. But like I said, the light's at the end of the tunnel. We just have a lot of kids. Most of them are entrepreneurs. I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. I
Awesome.
had businesses, and I used to run a ministry called Training Minds Ministry, where we hosted homeschool speakers and debaters and in camps all over the country. And I
Wow.
thought that it had very related to my teaching experience in academic debate. I had a publishing company that went alongside that. I had that for 15 years. I recently sold that about 4 years ago, and because I was getting into glamping, but that was a publishing company of curriculum and books and things like that I sold all over the country. And in 2019, we pivoted into we kind of fell into it. We didn't even pivot into it. The story goes like this. I was a teacher at Monument Academy teaching seventh grade English. And every teacher out there is looking for kind of a side hustle. You know, what could they be doing on the side? And because you're just not making much money. Well, and you have your summers off. So I had my summer off. We put up we remodeled our bedroom. We needed to remodel our bedroom. Our kids were growing older. Our house got trashed. So we just need to get that nice bedroom, a nice master bedroom. I put my hunting tent up in my backyard and moved our master bedroom outdoors.
Oh, wow.
We loved it. It was so nice. The kids were inside, we were outside, and it was planning our 17th child. No, I'm just kidding. But but we were really having a good time out there. And then, well, after the remodel, we moved back inside, and then we decided, you know what? Let's get a piece of the Airbnb action. Let's throw it up. Some of my kids were buying properties and doing the whole Airbnb thing, and they were making bank, and I was like, oh, maybe we could make a little bit of money. We made $2,400 renting out my tent, my hunting gear. You know, it was like we set up these little stoves and little fire pits and little privacy tent with a little toilet in it. Something we just did everything. We just set up a camping site, and we had it with a nice bed and everything. It was really fun. But $2,400 wasn't anything to sneeze at. So we were like, wow. So the next summer, and this was the COVID summer, so this is 2020. We thought maybe it was a fad, but we ended up putting up two tents, and we made $18,000 that summer on two tents.
Wow.
And these are tents. You know, this is like wow. You know, no saunas and the hot tubs like we have now. But we were just setting this up, and we were very impressed by, and we were impressed by how much we liked it. We are hospitable people. We like having people over. In fact, our television show that I mentioned before in 2007 was based on the Jeub birthday bash. We had like 200 people over, and we had this big birthday party for all the kids, and it was just huge, and it was a lot of fun. And we're always that way. We've always been that way, and that's so we said, hey, let's dive into this. The third year, we did a number of maneuvers. We bought a third tent. We're not dummies. We're going to look at another tent. And then we partnered with my neighbor who is really right adjacent to me, and she has a larger piece of property. And we built 3 container homes. And this was something one of my sons was getting into, because he just graduated from welding school, is kind of into metal. So he made these container homes. They're kind of popular now.
Yeah.
And we rented out. So we had 6 units. We made $90,000 that summer.
Oh, wow.
And that was
Awesome.
like, okay, this is a game changer. And then we were all in. The story does take a kind of a sinister turn, because then we started getting into trouble with the county and with the building department and with the health department, because we thought we were just out in the country. We could do whatever we want. The fact of the matter is you can't. There's all sorts of permits and jurisdictions and stuff. Yeah, kind of like Debbie Downer. You're trying to do something fun, and then some enforcement officer, guy, call them yellow jackets. They show up in your front yard with a yellow jacket and a badge, and they say, "We're from the government. We're here to help."
Wah, wah,
Yeah.
wah.
So yeah, right. And then we went through, it was about, well, we still deal with it actually. People in business, especially in land development, that permitting is just an issue. Jurisdictions are just an issue you have to deal with. So we went through a learning curve, and we ended up getting administratively approved for what's called a recreation camp in El Paso County. And that is perfectly legit under mine. It's not allowed. I can't do it just because I want to. I have to go through a permitting process and make my case to the planning department. And I succeeded and got approved for, at the time, I think it was 6 units. That's what we had. No, maybe it was 8 units. It was 8 units, the first one, even though I only had 6. We continued developing that, and then there were some more violations, because I was still kind of doing what I wanted to do. I put an RV on the place and stuff, and then one of my neighbors complained, and it became this kind of like this neighborhood scuffle.
Okay.
And then so I ended up reapplying for another special use, or kind of an upgrade of the special use, an adjustment. And then that led to a neighborhood kind of a fight, and increased to 12 units. I needed to kind of pay for all these expenses. And then I went in front of the county commissioners, and I'm making it sound very quick and easy. It was very, very long and turbulent
It
and
never is with the
expensive.
government.
But yeah, but I ended up putting my case to the commissioners, and they voted approval for what I have now, which is permitted for 12. We still have 8 units on the property, and so we do have some room for expansion. But we have at right now 5 tents and 3 container homes. And we book out all summer long. And in fact, we do have some winter glamping going on too. We pretty much just book out on the weekends. But
Okay.
these are perfect little venues for with our avatar. The people we really try to serve are couples who want to just kind of escape, reconnect, chill. We all of our units have a hot tub, a nice little 4-person hot tub, which fits nice, really fits nicely for 2 people, but 4 people could squeeze in there. But they're really nice, and they
Even the tent ones?
yes, all the tent
Okay.
ones. Yeah, they each have their own private hot tub. They have a fire pit. One of our units has a nice sauna, so it's kind of this little spa, sauna, hot tub, and fire pit.
That's the
And
one I want to go in.
yeah, it's called Honeycomb. Honeycomb is our best booking. We got to build more saunas.
I have to
Um,
book it like for 2 years out.
no, no, no. We have vacancies. We
Okay.
especially now. Although we've had this great winter, it's been so warm. So people
Yes.
have been booking like last minute. Like it's gonna be 65 degrees out in February, and so people are booking out and having it. And we also live on a nice piece of property. That's what kind of spawned the whole idea. We had a little slice of heaven here. We've got Monument Creek that flows right through our backyard. We have
Oh,
waterfall
nice.
flying all over the place. Deer walk through our yard every single day, several times a day, and eagles. We see bald eagles all the time and hawks, and it's just a beautiful property. So that is a draw. There's a lot of beautiful properties in the area, but we have one, and we just put these individual accessory dwelling units on there and do it up. We also have some accessories that we like to upgrade people to. We make our own homemade wine. We make our own homemade kombucha. We sometimes will serve breakfast to the guests and make this big king's breakfast that they can buy into. It's just wonderful. But we provide all the propane and all the stuff that makes a camping experience. It's hard to call this a camping experience actually, but it is what I call semi-outdoors,
Okay.
where walking out on a deck and sitting down and watching the deer walk by and seeing the valley here, and the creek flow and walking down into the creek and things like that. There's things to do on the property that are nature based. And that's perfect for reconnecting
Yeah.
with a loved one. We get a lot of sisters out here. They just come out and they kind of party a little bit. There's no parties allowed on the property, but it's a time to where people get to connect, and in luxury as well as in the outdoors.
Right. So what is it? Is there a unit that's closer to the creek?
Yes, King's Quarters. There are actually 3 that are called quote unquote off grid, meaning they don't have like a flushing toilet and a shower and things like that. We have a toilet solution, this camper's toilet, but it's more rustic, and those are down by the creek because there's really not a septic flushing plumbing down there, but they're very close to the creek. So if you want the more rustic area, then you have the flowing creek right outside your door. King's Quarters, Colorado Cowboy, and Butterfly are 3 that are down there. They're all safari tents, so they're large, spacious tents. They have king size beds, and they have the propane fire pit and a hot tub. We do a hose down there. We do have to shut down 2 of them for the winter just because of where they're positioned in the property, but we
Okay.
do keep King's Quarters open. That one is most accessible to the creek. And
So
the creek,
it's
there's 2 tents up from the creek that are higher up on the hill because we
okay.
live on a hill, and those they have their own bathhouses, so they can
Okay.
have their private bathroom too with a shower, sink, and toilet,
So are
flushing toilet.
those bathhouses, so that's outside the tent, like near
Just
it?
outside the tent, yeah. So they each have their own. They have their own bathhouse. So it's a private bath. It's not like a big,
Right.
YMCA
Community.
bathroom or something. It's their own bathroom. We clean. And we have cleaners. We have several cleaners that come in and make things nice and shiny, and as much as an outdoor experience can make it. We keep it nice and it's very pleasant. People we have very high ratings on our websites and on Airbnb and HipCamp and Glamping Hub. There's all sorts of OTAs that actually cater to outdoor hospitality, and
Mhm.
that's our niche. It's an
Right,
outdoor hospitality space, and that's Monument Glamping.
right. So how many tents? You have three container homes, and then how many tents?
3 containers homes and 5 tents. Of those 5 tents, 3 are off grid.
Okay. And so if somebody needed to use the restroom, basically, on those ones, you said there is a toilet somewhere in there?
Yeah, poop is always the biggest question on people's mind. What happens with the poop? Yeah. Um,
Or those of us who are a little bit older that have to get up in the middle of
no,
the
no, I'm
night
not
and
kidding. This is not a joke. Everybody wants to know. It's like, hey, explain this for me first before I commit.
right.
Yeah, off-grid sites have there's a specialized tent. There's a privacy tent that a tent manufacturer out of Denver called Davis Tent. They're very famous for hunting tents. That they're outfitters tents. Instead of I call them safari tents because that's kind of the more bougie way of
Okay.
the glamping world. But they're outfitters tents, wall tents. They have a wall on them and then a peak. They made a special one that's a square and they call it the Royal Throne. These are hunters, and they so it's a Royal Throne. It's just zip it up, and you have this privacy tent with a window and all sorts of things. You can put the toilet paper in and all that, and then we buy. I think it's the best solution for camping, and that's called the Cabela's camping toilet and or a commode, camping commode they call it. And it's a fold out chair with a toilet seat on it. There's a bucket underneath, and we line them with bags and stuff like that, so it's clean. You know how many complaints we've gotten over this? Zero. And once people figure it out, it's very
Right.
clean, it's very sanitary. You do your business, you get out of there, and nobody complains about it. I think it's nicer than what do they put those wood chip things solutions that
Oh
they
yeah,
have
yeah, yeah.
what do they call them again? I don't even know what they call. I think they're awful. They're gross. But that's not that solution. It's you wrap up your waste and throw it right away, and
Right.
we take care of that. So
I know
and we
that
one of the things we
I'm
had to do when I mentioned the permitting project, one of the things we had to do is we had to put in a very expensive septic tank. So we ripped up our yard and everything, put it, but this was the health department. That was another government agency we needed to comply with. And they came out and they go, you know what, all these enforcement officers and stuff like that, they're kind of like, wow, this place is really cool. But then they pull out their clipboard and tell me what I'm
right.
doing. And so so they've all been very nice in trying to comply with the county codes and stuff. And with the health department, this was very much the case. They're like, look, we're not saying you can't do what you're doing, and we're not going, and they didn't shut, I've never been shut down, but they did say these are the things you need to do to comply. And so one of them was installing a septic tank. It was $45,000. It was not a
All
cheap
right.
septic, it was an industrial septic tank
Right.
because they had their algorithm that I needed to, I had to have engineers soil test and all that. It's very complicated,
Yep.
but I got it in. And so now that septic tank can withstand 12 units, even though we have eight on the property, as well as our house. So it's our new septic tank, and it's huge, huge.
Yeah. I know in like for your house, it's always the amount of bedrooms is
Yeah.
what it's not the amount of bathrooms, it's the amount of
Yep.
bedrooms.
Yep.
And at
Yep.
least in Colorado here, and that's how big the septic is. But you've got more than just a house. I mean, it's more it's a commercial
Yeah.
property,
It's a commercial septic tank. I mean,
like
yeah.
hotel-ish.
Yep.
And although I'm really big into tiny homes, one day I'll get one.
Okay.
And so I've thought about the different bathrooms and toilets and all that. And I know that they have like an incinerator one, and
Yeah.
that just takes
Yeah.
all your stuff
And
and
zap it
poof.
all. Yeah.
So you don't need a septic tank. I don't know what you do with the liquids, but at least I know the solids. So I have to look more into that. But I thought, I wonder if that would have been one of those. They're not cheap, obviously. Nothing is.
Oh, they're pretty pricey. They're like over $1,000, but yeah, that's that. And we were looking at all those solutions.
I bet.
We were thinking maybe renting an outhouse kind of thing. And what we were thinking, we used to actually have a camping toilet that collected it all, and we just dumped it into our own septic tank. That was gross. That was back in
I
the day.
bet.
What we were doing. But our business has grown. I kind of mentioned the number of units has grown, but our processes have grown in the process now. So now we're into our seventh year, and we've really got it dialed in. And we know how to treat customers. We know that people really do want their privacy. They don't really want. We don't go, bringing all our kids out there and meeting them and stuff. We just don't do that unless they ask if they want to get together with us. We offer a thing called a wine tasting. So we really like our homemade wine. So we get into that, and so we'll come down there with a few bottles of our wine, and we'll sit on the deck and get to know people. But only if they really want to.
Right.
People can just register and drive right to their site, enjoy what they came there to do, and that's to connect with each other. There's a lot of anniversaries celebrated on our property. We don't have any weddings, but we've had wedding parties. People who they might get married in town, but then they all come here and rent out the place, and it's just it's more fun than a hotel. you
Right.
know it's just escaping. Even a nice hotel is still a hotel, but
Right.
if you rent a tent or a container home, it's cozy, it's just relaxing, and there's just a lot of love going on here at the Monument Glamping. It's really fun.
Well, it could be good for reunions too.
Yes, yep. Reunions. We've had it was late last summer. We had like a Bible study group came. This lady with a bunch of lady friends, and they just took over the whole place. And we even left the house, so that they asked to even use our house, and they just we have a big large back deck that kind of oversees the whole property, and they just spent a couple nights together and had a blast, and we went camping.
That's funny. You could go right out of your backyard, but you just went. Well,
Yeah,
I'm very glad to know that the ones that are down by the creek, you didn't tell me that uh,
we're
the
pooping in the
faci the facilities all have a tree behind them.
Nope, nope, nope. We have and actually, I could send you a picture of that if you want to slip them in, because they're really nice.
Yeah.
Like I said, we've got no complaints about them. Once people investigate it and use it, they're like, oh, this isn't rocket science. I can figure this out.
And I'm sure you have instructions and stuff, or
Yep,
at least
yep.
give them the lay of the land and what to do, and then off they go.
Yeah, we communicate really well with our guests. In fact, that's one of our highest ratings in on Airbnb is our
With
communication.
16 kids, you know how to communicate, and being a teacher, I wouldn't expect that you could
English teacher
communicate
and a
well.
debate coach. And so yeah, communications is big, but so people are very prepared when they come out here, knowing exactly what's there, just all the stuff that they need to know. But when they come here, in fact, I thought I had one laying around here, but they when they come here, they have a 3-ring binder there at the
Right.
desk, kind of explains everything, any detail of some, how to use the heater or something like that, because we have propane heaters in our tents right now this time of year, and things like that. And just to explain, as well as connections with the local stuff. We're just a mile away from Pike National Forest. I take my dog for a walk there every single day. I know how to walk right up to Monument Rock and Mount Herman. I think those are my favorite trails, and as well as all the area bars and restaurants and things that people are always asking. So we get a lot of vacationers, people who come through from out of state. They're here to visit the area for whatever reason. They might be here for the Air Force graduation, something like that. But we actually, about half of our guests are what I call staycationers, where they're just busting out of their apartment out of Colorado Springs and Denver. We get people all the way from Boulder or Fort Collins. Sometimes they come down, and they're just looking for an escape in a nice area. And mind you, it's a beautiful town. And
Yes.
there's other things like the Ford Amphitheater. We get a lot of concert goers. They'll go glamping for the weekend and
Right.
see their concert, and that's always fun that they're just utilizing this as an upgrade from a hotel.
Right.
They're having some place to go that's more experiential than it is just a place to sleep and get by.
Right. So what's the difference between the container homes and the tents? What if I came there, what would I experience different between the two?
Well, let's start with the tents. There's nothing like sleeping under canvas. I mean, you could hear geese flying over, you hear coyotes kind of in the distance, sometimes not so distant, sometimes they're right outside. We have the acreage right to the south of us is undeveloped. So we have a 40-acre lot really that's right there that the creek flows down. So it's open space, and there's a good 6 acres between us and the housing development and Monument that's right across the creek. So we are in a rural residential area, but it's becoming more and more residential over the years. Just that's the way this part of the country is, and but it still has some rural qualities to it. And under canvas is really I think real camping. You gotta be under canvas. So that's the majesty of being there. But you still have your king size bed, your fluffy mattress, your big pillows, your hot tub and your towels and robes and stuff. We provide all of that. That's the nice luxurious aspect of a tent. The container homes is really an upgrade. You have a shower, you have a flushing toilet inside the unit, you have a little kitchenette, you have a refrigerator, you have a grill right outside your door. All of our units have grills, but the grill is just the place where you heat stuff up and you
Right.
eat. And then you have a hot tub. All of our units have hot tubs, and like that one that has a sauna in it, and that's just that presence is more of a contained unit. This is what's like your tiny home that you're talking about. It
Yeah,
is like it's a tiny home. It's on
it
wheels.
is. Yep.
So we place them on a chassis, and it's really just set. We don't drive it down the highway or anything, but they're
Right.
right there. And that's more of the experience. It's more like a camper trailer. Just not even really a camper trailer. Camper trailers are more flimsy. You can't get more solid than a container, so
Right.
these are solid, and they are furnished out and decked out so that there's real walls and there's insulation in it, and there's a fire we have an electric fireplace inside and they have a TV. They're the only ones that have a TV. If you want to watch TV with your mate, I don't know, some people do actually. They just cuddle up in the bed and they watch a movie and that kind of stuff. That's very popular in the in our containers.
Right. So what's the average stay as far as how many nights?
We actually only get 1 and 2 night stays. I mean, we people can stay here for up to 7 nights, but so it is a very short term rental. So we actually don't like it when they stick around too long because then they start, you know, hanging their laundry out and stuff like that. It's like they start to move in a little bit too much. And but 1 and 2 night stays are very popular. In the summer, we close it to just 2 night stays on the weekends. But that's perfect for people, especially those staycationers who are they get off work, instead of going to a restaurant and a movie, hey, let's go glamping. Let's go up there and you know grab some wine and our favorite meal or something, grill out some burgers and chill out. And that's very typical guest, is they're just getting off of work and they just go glamping and they pack up in the morning and leave. And that's a fun experience that we can provide. So
Okay, so it's not a couple days where like you have to figure out meals and things like that.
the concert goers do 2 days, and you think it would be one day, and we found that the people who are actually going to a big concert at the Ford Amphitheater or something, or even right, we've gotten people from Red Rocks actually stay at our place and they're going to a concert. They're kind of groupie types, and they're with a friend or something like that. And it's like, hey, we're just going to have a great time for a couple nights. The second night is when they're going to the concert. So they kind of come in, they got their drinks, they got their food, and they just, laughing around the fire pit and stuff like that. They crash and they get up and start preparing for their big concert. And then they might go out to breakfast and maybe take a hike or something, then end up at the concert, stand in line for 4 hours or whatever they do at a concert. And then they do the concert, they come home, they crash, and they get up and leave. So that's become I should almost have a concert package or something like that for
Yeah,
big concerts that come into town. I haven't really gone that far in my marketing, but not a bad idea. Not a bad idea, Sandy. I think I'm on it.
you're welcome. And I'll take the commission check.
Yeah, yeah.
So if somebody brings some food in, say they're staying 2 nights, is there a place that they could put it where, I don't know if you've got bears over there.
Oh,
But
yes.
obviously with the wildlife, we want to make sure it's safe. And also we want to make sure that it's safe
Yeah.
to eat.
Yeah. Yep. I get you. We provide coolers and ice for free.
Okay.
So when people rent with us, if they request it, we'll throw a bag of ice in the cooler and walk it down to the tent, and then they've got their ice. We'll even replenish the ice too. The summer it doesn't melt right now in February, but in the summer they'll go through ice. But we keep ice on stock. We have an ice machine and everything that we just
Oh,
keep
cool.
ice packed up. And then the container homes actually have fridges, these little mini fridges
Yeah.
with a little freezer. I will still give them a cooler of ice if they have a lot. So
Right.
people do show up with their food, and they don't have to buy a new cooler or something like that, or bring something from home. We've got it all ready for them.
Okay.
A lot of people will come, and this is very common, not for the repeat guests. The repeat guests kind of know the system, but the first time guests will oftentimes come, check in, kind of unload all their luggage, and they go, okay, I get it. And then they go to Walmart and buy all their food.
Right, right.
It's like, okay, this is easy. I got the grill, I got the hot water thing in the side, things like that. They just kind of figure out the lay of the land and make it happen.
Right. And so do you provide frying pans or little things that go on the grill?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. They provide pans and little hot water things and kettles and the spatulas and stuff like that. So all utensils. It's kind of like if you went camping, but you don't have to pack anything
Right.
other than food and beverage. Even that we provide. We've got this thing called the Colorado Cookout for $55. We'll put some burgers and chips and drinks and stuff like that in a big cooler, and we'll just deliver it to you, and then you just go to town. And
Yeah.
then it's the same thing with breakfast. We have what's called a King's breakfast, and we really go all out on the King's breakfast. It's eggs and bacon and just toast and everything. And then we deliver it to them on their porch at
Oh,
7
wow.
a.m. with hot coffee and hot water with some tea bags and stuff. So they could really have um, a nice meal, kind of like breakfast in bed, except I don't deliver it to them. There's usually
Right.
sleeping inside,
Right,
but I
right.
just put it on their desk at 7 a.m. That we explain all that when they check in, saying, "Hey, these are some upgrades that you can do to really make it special."
Yeah, and
And
this way you don't have
water,
to worry about it.
yes,
It's there, so you don't have to worry about going buying and this and that. If you're trying to get into the experience
yeah.
without being at home worrying about all those things.
Yes. There's people who are upgrading their camping experience. They're the ones who probably just go shopping and kind of show up with all their stuff that they would have picked up in the camping. And then there's some people who are downgrading their Broadmoor experience or making it kind of more interesting. And they're the ones who are buying breakfast, buying dinner and stuff like that. And that's okay. We'll accommodate any which way. But I should mention a lot of people will celebrate their birthdays going glamping, or they will celebrate an anniversary going glamping. And then we have two surprises, and one person is usually surprising the other person. So we have a romantic surprise and a birthday surprise. So we'll set up the tent with like happy birthday over the bed or something, like, and a bottle of wine with rose petals for the the honeymooner or something. And that we do that. That's another upgrade that we'll do for the guests and kind of set things up for them. So they open up the tent, and then there's these balloons and
Yeah.
all these rose petals everywhere. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is, especially for the one, say, like, I hate to say it, but sometimes guys have a little bit harder time kind of coming up with something special or
We
even
got you
thinking.
covered, buddy. We'll get it all set up for you. You're gonna do just fine with this surprise.
And then they unzip it, and I'm assuming this happens also with the container homes if they chose that one. But
Oh yeah,
they come
we can work
in
with theirs. Mhm.
and it's like, wow, you thought of that. It doesn't matter if it's a package or anything, it's still something a little bit more special than
Yep.
just I mean, coming glamping to Monument Glamping is special in general, but this
Yeah.
is a little extra touch that gives them some brownie points.
Yeah, yeah. And we even work with the guests. Sometimes the guests will say, "Hey, could you do this for me? Can I drop something off that you can include in the setup and things like that?" So some guys and gals got the girls are sometimes doing it for the boys. They're setting this up for a special surprise, a birthday present or something like that. And we'll work with guests ahead of time, saying, "Hey, just let us know, give us a call, let us know how we can make this extra special for you." Going back to the whole hospitality thing, we love that. We love doing that for our guests. So they're not asking anything, you know, that's a burden to us. I mean, we've got our processes and systems in place, but man, if we can make it extra special for nice for you, oh, man, we count it all joy. We just love it.
Right. So how far apart are is each property or
Each
each
unit,
yep.
they're good distance. I mean, this is 6.5 acres, so they're not scrunched together like sardines in a campground. So I think the closest two are probably maybe 100 feet from each other. And then they got a big shed and a bunch of trees in between the two. So we've actually very strategically placed each one to have as little impact on the others as possible.
Right.
So they're even the containers are not facing each other, that kind of thing. We make it so that it's not invasive, so they don't feel like someone can just look over their shoulder and see them in the hot tub or something. We actually
Right.
have privacy fences around the hot tubs and things like that, so there's plenty of privacy and that was very important to us when we set up the whole camp. Every single unit was set up with that in mind.
Right. I saw the privacy fence on your website and where the hot tub is. So one of the reasons why I ask is because we were talking.
You're talking about coming out.
I may, but why I ask is we were talking about special events kind of with couples and things like that. Well, if it's an anniversary or something like that, having some privacy.
Yeah. Oh, I told you don't have to elaborate. I totally get what you're saying. So yeah, and that's what we do. That's what we do is make sure that
With
it's
16
private.
kids, I don't have to elaborate. You know where I'm going.
There's a lot of love going on here at Monument Glamping, and we make sure it's all. But we don't want to see any of it either. So
No, we don't want to hear any and see
don't want
any,
to hear
but
about it.
go
Don't want
to
to hear
town.
nothing. Yeah. Like get a room. Well, we got the room. Go. Just
Exactly.
leave us alone.
Hopefully, the only one who hears them is the deer or the coyote walking by.
Right. That's right. That's right. Yeah, we even instill some rules. Our rules aren't too drastic, but one of the rules that we worded, I think, pretty well is if you have a radio, make sure your neighbors can't hear it. So people do sometimes bring a little boombox radio or something like that, but if I could hear it up at the house or another one of the glampers can hear it, it's too loud. I'll have to talk to you and say, hey, you got to turn on the radio. Um, that's really the only. I mean, we really don't. We're here on the property, so
Right.
we're up in the house doing our thing while you're staying down there on the tent. And so, if there's anything you need, we're right here. But if any nefarious people come in, or like a big party animal or something, like you hear these horror stories about Airbnb, big huge parties and stuff, it just doesn't happen on our property because
Right.
we're right here. Proximity, solves a lot of problems with these kind of parties that most OTAs or online travel agents have to deal with all the time. We don't. We're on-site operators who are just able to take care of our guests, and we really want our guests to have a good time, but not a party. So
Right.
that's a good thing.
So you have obviously wine that you make
Yes.
and can bring. So what's the
And
policy?
kombucha. And we make homemade kombucha. You ever hear
That
kombucha?
I want. I don't
Yeah.
drink alcohol, but I would love to try your
Well, this is
kombucha.
this is I think the better choice actually. It's a we've been making kombucha. It's kind of our family drink for years. So we've got really healthy scobies, and our guts are awesomely healthy. But we will prepare a bottle for people who would prefer a non-alcoholic drink,
Yeah.
and they love it. So kombucha, homemade kombucha by Wendy Jeub.
Oh, I need some for sure. I get the one at Costco, but yours would be much better
Oh,
and
it's
much
so.
more healthier.
Well, actually, the funny thing is we hate store-bought kombucha. We also hate store-bought wine. Every once in a while, we'll have a bottle of homemade something or the bottle of wine. We don't put there's a lot of chemicals that go in there for like to keep a shelf life.
Right.
So our bottles of wine need to be drank in within a year or two, just because we don't have them there. But man, they don't give you headaches. It's really just a superior way to and all any homemade winemakers or mead makers or something like that, people who make their own beverages,
Mhm.
they totally get it.
Yeah.
The store-bought stuff is junk. I mean, once you get a taste for it, it's like you never go to the store anymore, and that's what we like to share with people when they come.
Well, here you go. Now I'm going to offshoot another revenue stream for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, what's that? My
Kombucha.
candy guy? Oh, kombucha. Yeah. I
Yeah.
we
So,
we've talked about it. We've talked about it. I've even investigated the whole alcoholic the license you'd have to get to actually go commercial because we make two our kits that we make. We do make some homemade juice wine, but the homemade kits are what we call glamping Cabernet and then Monument Merlot. So
okay.
those are two that we just kind of keep making. We make a couple carboys at a time. And then we thought about kombucha. We've actually investigated on how to go commercial, but we're too busy glamping, so we just haven't done that.
But kombucha isn't alcoholic, so you don't need an alcoholic license
Right.
or
It's a
alcohol license.
fermented tea. It's a fermented tea, but it doesn't create alcohol in the process of fermentation.
Right. It's for your gut, not for altering your state.
Probiotic, probiotic drink.
Exactly.
Much better for you. Much better for you.
Yep, that's where I'm at. I never liked it, but the health benefits are good. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put some in my regimen. And so, but now I'm gonna have to try yours.
Yeah,
Now you got me curious.
have you ever made kombucha your own?
No,
Oh, it's night and day. Night and day. You won't ever buy it. I don't ever buy kombucha in the store. I hate it. But
I
my own
know,
kombucha, I drink it all day long.
I know. So there you go. But yeah, now we'll get another revenue stream going for you, and
There you go.
um, there you go. So what about things like being on the grid, Wi-Fi? Do you have any of that there?
We have Wi-Fi, so we have a box on our roof that blasts. Our house is on the top of the hill, so it kind of blasts all into the valley. So we have Wi-Fi. Um, and what else do you have for Wi-Fi and what else?
Yeah, that being on the grid. So you have Wi-Fi
On the grid, we cover that. Yeah.
in five of the five of the sites because the three down by the creek you said were
Are off grid. We run a hose to them during the summer, but their bathroom facilities is off grid.
all right, but do they have internet,
It's
Wi-Fi?
light, but they can still get internet down there. Yeah.
Okay, just in case. Like for me, I'm never off grid. I'd like to be, but because the town tidings goes out every day, I'm writing it every day. So I'm
You
like,
can't be watching. You can't watch movies down in the tent, I
right,
suppose. But you can. I mean, you can check your email and kind of keep business going. It's still accessible down there in the tents.
right. But if I was in the other five, it would be no problem.
Yeah, the ones up by the house are very fast. Yeah,
Right.
the containers are actually wired. So we've
Oh,
got wired internet going out there. So the containers, somebody really needs screaming fast, but they've got the television, see? So they
right,
have so they're locked into the internet with that so that they're able to stream movies and things like that. But the tents don't have a television in them, so
right.
but they still get enough internet to, get the not be totally out in the
Right.
boonies.
I'd love to be, and until I get other systems in place, it's all me. So I'm
Yeah.
like, oh boy, but that'd be nice to just kind of, say I don't have to do it, and I'm just going to enjoy the area and the experience in general.
There's a lot of our guests, especially repeat guests, just they once they came out here once, that now we're their place to go. They
Right.
just, okay, I got, you know, this 3 day weekend, and I'm just going to check in on Sunday, check back on Monday, just have a night to read a book.
Right.
Just to chill. That's very common guest, and sometimes just one person. They're just busting out to be alone for a while.
Right.
So
So what you're open all year round, right?
yes, all year long,
Okay.
all year round.
So
Very booked
in
out in the summer though. That's the busy time.
yeah, in the winter, are you only open on the weekends?
No, we're open during the week.
Okay.
We're open during the week, but we just don't fill up during the week so much.
Right.
But people are welcome out here, even in the cold. And we've had our coldest night glamper was 18 below zero.
Oh, wow.
Someone stayed in a tent. They were a young couple from Virginia. I even went out there in the middle of the night because I was afraid for them. Say,
Yeah.
hey, are you okay? They're, yeah, good, we're staying warm. They had the heaters going, the fire going and stuff. So they were very hardy.
Right.
but but most people, we do offer 100% guarantee if the weather ruins your plans. So if it gets down to 0 degrees or something like that, when the weather lately, it's been above freezing in February overnight. I mean, it was like 45 degrees this morning when I walked my dog. It was like unbelievably warm. It's an unusual summer this summer, or the
Yes.
unusual winter,
Winter.
and so this is the exception. But the last couple of years have been pretty brutal.
Yeah.
They were cold winters, so we had to handle some cancellations, and we always cancel, or those kinds of cancellations we always refund 100%. And even if just something out of nature's control, like if this is one of our guarantees that we have, if you go to our website, you'll see it. It's 100% guarantee, and we've honored that before, where someone a few days ahead of time, family member passes away, they got to all of a sudden cancel their trip. We refund 100%. We don't
That's great.
fickle over
Yeah.
that.
It shows you're human. You've got a business to run for sure, but things happen. And whether it's Mother Nature or it's something else, uh,
Our
maybe it's,
motto is that we want to treat our guests just like we would like to be treated if we were traveling. Because traveling is stressful, and
yeah,
kudos to you if you want to bust out and having a fun time with your spouse. I mean, that to me is awesome. Do it, do it, do it. Let me remove the barriers from you, because that's what we would like to be treated. That's how we treat our guests, and that's why we've got 4.9, 5.0 ratings all over the place.
right. And do you have any specials that go maybe during the week as opposed to the weekend?
Yeah, I have one going on right now. I don't know when this is going to go live, but I have one going on right now. Our nightly rate is usually $300 a night, and we dropped it to $200 a night for the rest of the winter season. So by the end of March, if you can get a night in, it's $200. And if you mention this, because I'm dropping some social media ads, and have you mentioned that you learned about this deal online or through a phone call or through this channel, I'll just say it, we will give you a free bottle of wine,
There you
and
go.
that will be we will gift you with that when you come, and that's our way of kind of padding out the rest of the winter, because once April 1st hits, we're full bore through the summer, and we'll be packed out and everything. And the nice thing about it, it's a little bit more expensive than a hotel or an Airbnb or something like that you would get, but I mean, we almost give everything for free. I mean, we don't. If you go to a campground or an RV park, you really nickel and dime for everything. The propane costs extra, the ice costs extra, the games cost extra. This all costs extra, and we actually just kind of open the door. In fact, we like to boast that we give $450 worth of extras that most campgrounds would charge.
Right,
Uh, just check it out. You want to sleep in? We won't charge you for a late checkout. Stuff like that.
right,
And that's the benefit of that's just kind of how we molded it. We used to charge all that. It was more of a pain than it was a help.
right,
So just
right,
just let's give it bake it in the cost. Just go. We were trying to make it easy for people to just, oh, $300. Okay, I'm in. And then they just do it. So
right. It's all in. So in general, whether it's the winter or the spring, summer, or any of the seasons, is there a different cost for the weekend as opposed to a weekday?
Nope. Nope.
Okay.
That's a
Yep.
night. But the
Because
weekends fill up fast, so you better get in there if you want a weekend. So that kind of thing. The weekends are always booked out, and but the in a weekday you could be a little bit more choosy, but not weekends and holidays are but that's the same price even on a holiday. Fourth of July we can jack the prices up for and yeah.
yep, I know with hotels and stuff, they usually have the
They
weekdays
really
till
stick it to
Thursday.
you. They stick it to you when the demand is the demand is high, their prices go up. So, but no,
Yes.
we typically will fill out on a holiday weekend. I think we already have people on the 4th of July who are coming and
Oh,
booked
right.
out. But and Air Force Academy graduation is a big weekend
Yep.
around here. But that's okay. I mean, we just fill them up and we treat it just like any other weekend.
You're going to have in August is the Bruno Mars concert right there at the Air Force Academy.
Bruno Mars, really?
So he
Okay.
actually added a second day. And so I have a feeling you probably will book out that
Sweet.
those couple days.
I'm on it. I'm on it. We'll be ready for them.
So tell me, your website jokes about couples with different ideas about roughing it.
Oh, that's a
And
real popular couple. Yeah, the one couple, this is very popular. And one couple grew up camping, rustic, hunting. They're outdoors people. The other wouldn't be caught dead in a sleeping bag. And so it's kind of like this is their compromise. And a lot of couples come here sharing that story, saying, "Hey, I've always been trying to talk him or her to go outside."
right.
And the other one is like, they've been bugging me for years. Well, this is their compromise. Yeah.
So tell me, I mean, that's a general statement, but you've been doing this for 7 years. You gotta have some really good stories. What's the funniest or most memorable, either compromise or just guest in general? You don't need to mention any names.
Okay. Oh, the funniest one. The funniest one. Um, there's a picture on our website. He let me use it. It was a couple, and they were TikToks or Instagram stars. They were
Okay,
really popular, I guess. I didn't know them from Adam,
right.
but they came out and they set up cameras and everything, and they were taking pictures and stuff. Really nice photos. She's kissing him on the deck, and he's looking all innocent and stuff like that. He just gave her a big surprise and stuff. And that was a fun group. Another one we had. This one ordered a wine tasting. We actually sat on our front desk and just drank a lot of wine. Oh my gosh, because it was a female pilot. She was a private pilot. Not many female pilots out there. She was a female pilot, and he was a rock star. And I didn't know
Really?
I didn't know him, but he like talked to me like, you do know who I am, right? And I'm like, not really. We talked till like midnight. I was like, and that's late for me. We just talked late at night. And the funny joke is that we drank so much wine, and he's like, I'm just gonna roll down in my tent and go to sleep. I'm like, yep, that's what you get to do.
Did you guys even remember that with all that wine that you drank?
Yeah, we read it. It was a fun time. It was a fun time. I'm trying to think of some other ones. We've had
Anything you've observed people kind of doing that you're just like, uh, things that make you go, hmm.
yeah, we'll keep those little, I don't know. Sometimes that this is one thing when
No
people
names.
but I consult a lot of people who want to do glamping operations on their private property. And it's interesting because um we used to go out and we used to greet each of our guests. I mentioned this earlier, where we just don't do that. If you want to come, enjoy, and leave, we're fine with that. And that's actually kind of baked into our whole presentation. This is a time for you to connect, not a time for me to connect. So that hey, how you doing kind of stuff is not something we do. And I actually consult people to not do that. If you're setting up an outdoor hospitality, you're setting up a business on your property. And treat it like that. And these are your customers, and don't assume your customers are socialites like you. you
Right.
know, assume what you advertise. This is a time for them to come, to chill, to connect, and enjoy what you've set up. And that's just something I do with the guests. So a lot of times I don't really know what they're doing down there.
And that
Like I
may
said
be a
before, I
good
don't really
thing.
want to know.
So, but the first time they probably come in or wherever you give them the information because they need to know it. And then maybe if they come back, they probably just go to their
Well, I
second.
actually don't meet many of our guests. Most of our
Really?
guests, they come and they've got the directions are pretty dialed in. They know exactly where they are. We got the signage and stuff, so they know exactly where to go. Only if they request our help, then we'll go down there and see them.
Are your
And
binders in each
yep,
area location?
yeah, yeah. There's very few questions that come through. I mean, they kind of
I would
have
have plenty just because that's me, but I'm
it.
inquisitive. I'm
Yeah,
just like, how does this? How does
yeah. And some of them do open up like that. Like some, I had just a lady up by Woodland Park who came and she's even said she's been eyeballing me for a while. And she and her husband came and they stayed. They've got a property up there. They want to do the same kind of thing. So they were very inquisitive. They were asking me all sorts of questions about so a lot of the questions we already covered is that how do you make my private property into an asset, into a revenue generating asset? And that's a very Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad kind of
yes.
feeling. Like I've got this property that just costs me a lot of money, mowing the lawn, taxes. I got to upkeep and stuff. It's taking money out of our pockets and not putting money into your pockets. And I read that book 25 years ago, but I didn't really apply it until I started glamping because now I am using my property. We still live here. We're still avoiding rent. Avoiding rent. That's really not making money. It's just changing money. But now I'm making money, and it's good money. There's a lot of margins in glamping, and it's I quit teaching actually. I don't have a day job, and Wendy doesn't have a job, and so this is our income, and we're living pretty comfortably doing it. We love it.
Yeah, that's great. And that kind of brings me to you're living it, you've got your property and you went and are going through a lot of regulations and making sure everything is legit. The neighbors are happy-ish. Um,
Good terms now. Everything's cool.
so with the neighborhood, do you feel like they, by having this operation, this business, aren't you kind of bringing positive things to the area by having it?
Yeah, I would say most of my neighbors do feel that way. In fact, some of my neighbors, like my neighbor to the south, kind of wants a piece of the action. How you doing this? How you making this happen? And so I have some neighbors who have approached me and said, I would like to do something. It doesn't have to go glamping. And this is kind of, yeah, I mean, I've kind of gone napalm on the whole idea of developing developing your site. But a friend up the road, he built an ADU and got that permitted properly and stuff. And he and I are good friends. We met each other through this. That he approached me. I'd like to do something like I want to be as crazy as you, but I want to do something like that to make money off of my property. And so and we live in the jurisdiction that's really perfect. I have it's called a rural residential 5, stands for rural residential 5 acres. And even though I'm larger than 5 acres, most of the lots around here are 5 acres. Well, that's a zone that is a zone to do certain things. You're allowed to do certain things. There's all sorts of things you can do on a property. I could have a go-kart race on my property. I could have a golf course. I could have a cemetery. I mean, there's all sorts of things I could utilize my property and do. I mean, I don't have any of those things, but I could. But if
Right.
I go through the right permitting process and actually get approved to do it. So that kind of thing is opening up to people that where they realize, oh, my property could actually make me money. And that's exciting, especially I don't
Yes.
know if you know about the recent housing laws that have gone through here in Colorado. It's really shaken up municipalities and towns and cities
Yeah.
and even HOAs. The recent law, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, might not be exact, but it's pretty close, is that a lot of HOAs and towns, municipalities have rules that restrict them from having an ADU, which is an accessory dwelling unit. My tent
Yes.
is an ADU. One of my tents is, so one of my container homes, and that's illegal now. You can't do that. You can't have a law in the books that says you can't utilize your property this way. Um, so now people are opening up to it, going, "Oh, I can put a to put a bus in my yard or something and start
right?
renting it out. And yeah, I could do something with my property because we're living in a housing crisis. There's the houses are just outrageous right now.
Yeah,
How are we going to house this growing population? Well, by these laws actually favoring individual landowners over, it's actually the way it's written to forbid those things actually favors the big, huge developers
right.
because then they're able to build these really expensive houses and sell them for top dollar, and
Yeah,
people are fighting over buying them because there's such a limited supply. And now one of those landowners could go, oh, I could actually pay for my mortgage by renting out this ADU or this room or this basement or this garage and just adjusting it into living quarters. And there's all sorts of rules and regulations that might
yes,
limit that or permit it, but it's not impossible anymore.
right.
It's not like you're forbidden from it. It's like you can't do this. Is becoming slimmer and slimmer. How to get it done
Yes.
is what I like to tell. I like to talk to people about that. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know in Colorado Springs itself, not in the rural El Paso County,
Hmm.
it there are certain rules. It has to be certain size. It has to be on a foundation if you do an ADU. I
Right.
know looking for me, um, in El Paso County, I kind of like um, in the mountains. So I kind of like west of the pass.
Yeah.
And Teller County forbids them, although there's a tiny home park
Hmm.
and they're right next to each other. It's like, no, I want a piece of land and put a tiny home there. I mean, look at we've had wildfires and all kinds of things. If I had a tiny home, now I'm not going to be moving it around, but I could get somebody to come, there's a wildfire, and take my whole house and then
Yep.
bring it back. I
Hook it up.
think that
Oh,
is a positive for the community, not a negative.
yeah. Yeah. Right. Right.
But that's my
Those
brain.
tiny homes are pretty doggone nice too. They're not shacky looking things. They're
Right.
very nice tiny. Those tiny homes that could be bougie. They're
Right.
really nice.
Well, what gets me is tiny homes are supposed to be economical and they're like over $100,000. And
I
I'm
know,
just
yeah,
like,
economical, sure.
what happened to I mean, I remember in 2014, I went down to Colorado Springs and they have tumbleweed tiny home down there. And then they had another place that have probably about 500 square feet or so. So it actually comes and it's a tiny home, but it's not, I don't think it's rated as an RV, which most of them are. And they put it like on a foundation. And I'm like, well, how much is it? And I remember in 2014 when they said like $55,000. And I was like, what? That's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Tiny home should be $20,000. And now they're well over
Yep.
150,000.
Yeah. Yeah, they're more like those big RVs and stuff. They're expensive. So, and we
Yeah.
build our own. Our container homes are built out ourselves, so we've kind of bypassed the extra cost of buying a turnkey solution.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
when you're making five, six, $7,000 a month, then $100,000 isn't that big of a deal. That's if you can if you do it like I do, where it's like a real experience instead of just a place to sleep,
Right.
then you could actually make very good money off of that. And then $100,000 investment, well, you could turn that around and make that back pretty easily.
Right. If it's on there. So I think I'm glad you brought that up. I think the laws and regulations are interesting. And I really like when they start opening up a little bit more to what can happen because we are in a housing crisis.
Mhm.
So whether it's for, yours is recreation, but other people can do it for income
Great.
and help themselves. So that is, again, I just want to touch on. So let's see your business card.
Oh, my business card. Yes, the
Yeah,
glamping guy. I'm the glamping guy online. You see
there
that?
you go.
My
Yeah.
camera's zooming in even. But yeah, if you go to glampingguy.com, it'll forward you to what's called a school community, SKOOL. I
Yep.
don't know if you've heard of that. Yeah. I
I'm
have a
familiar.
yes, yes. Well, you should jump in because it's called Your Land is Gold. is my way of, because I get a lot of questions from people about how to do what you're doing, Jew, but I want to do over my property. And I've created a solution. And it's a free community, and this group of landowners who are all trying to get a piece of the action, trying to turn their land into a revenue generating asset. And this could be a number of things. It doesn't have to be glamping. I mentioned ADUs, but I've got a member in there. He runs a pumpkin patch, and there's all sorts of events you could do. Agri-tainment's a huge industry.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of things. When a landowner finally sits down and goes, "Gosh, I have this beautiful piece of land. I raised my kids on it, or maybe I have my kids on. I want to put my kids to work or something like that. Do something that could actually generate revenue." That's what Your Land is Gold is all about. And we talk about permitting, we talk about operations, we talk about financing, we talk with everything that is involved with the real estate owner of their own property.
Right.
That's I'm your guy. I'm your glamping guy, and because there's so many questions, so many loopholes, and
Yep.
so many traps too. I mean, I actually have one member in there that his story is that he set something up by the Grand Canyon, big glamping operation. He got shut down and fined. So it was like every jurisdiction is different, and that's kind of the problem, but it's also kind of the freedom. You could be sitting on gold. Your land
Right.
could be gold. You could be sitting on a gold mine. I sure did. I make $250,000 a year off of my land.
Right.
I didn't have any. I was a teacher for 20 years before I ended up doing what I'm doing, and I'm like, oh, I'm making a lot more than I was teaching. So and I'm having a lot more fun at it too. I love teaching. I don't want to diss my teaching times, but
No, no.
that's the eye-opening experience that we're having as a group of landowners getting together, talking through this stuff, and dreaming what they could do on their own property that they have right underneath their feet.
And then I know with this economy, there are people that maybe they're retiring or, different stages. Maybe it's not the property that they raise their kids in, but they're looking for a place to invest their money. And so it may be a piece of property and then go from there. Now, probably if you're in a residential neighborhood with an HOA, probably not a good piece of land to try and do this unless you're doing
Well,
an ADU.
I it, well, I can wave a magic wand because people have more opportunity than they know what they know. They might call their HOA president and say, "Hey, I want to do this. Can I?" Their natural answer will be no. You
Correct.
go to the planning department of any jurisdiction, they'll say no,
Right.
because it really what that change is kind of hard for people to accept, especially the people who are kind of in control of that change. Then saying no means I don't have to think about you anymore. Leave my office, please.
Right.
But all HOAs and all jurisdictions have a master plan, a comprehensive plan. They have their codes. And it's actually illegal. This is where counties and towns get sued all the time by these developers. This is why, because they purchase land, they own it with the intention to develop it just like their code says.
Right.
If somebody who may have gotten elected or maybe earning an hourly wage as a planner or something or whatever it is says no, that could actually lead to litigation. Now, I've never had to sue my county, but I've been told no, and I've challenged it and won. You see what I mean? That happens more often than you think, and even with HOAs, even it is. And then if you're told no and the answer is actually no, there's always a variance. The variances are applied for all the time. In fact, my friend I mentioned earlier that built that barnuminium, he built it. He built it. It's not really a barnuminium, but it's like a barn. It's like a shed with a big, nice, really nice ADU at the top where people can see the view and all that stuff. He applied for a variance.
Okay.
So the code actually says he can't build that,
Right.
but that's what a variance is for. And every jurisdiction has a variance process. You have to justify it. You have to probably go appear before the board or the commissioners, mayor or whatever, and kind of make your case. But that's really what your land is gold is for. We write that letter of intent for you. All of them have a letter of intent as they go through the application process. And I'm a debate coach, so I'm pretty persuasive. And that's how what's the source of persuasion in this? It's really the master plan. I typically will go in front of the commissioners and say, "We're really helping you out here by building this. We're bringing people to the area. We're your tourism and your goals for this area in El Paso County. I'm actually adding to all of that, and so approve it." And they've always approved it. So, and that's the idea of that community of landowners, is that we are guiding you through that successful development of your property.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So one thing I forgot to ask you about Monument Glamping, and we can touch on here. We were talking about wine and kombucha and alcohol and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Especially since Colorado, and I hate when there's jokes about Colorado. I mean, we have weather, we have all kinds of stuff, and they always go to the pot stuff, you
Yeah,
know.
no, no.
So, what is your policy on things like smoking and pot and all that kind of stuff? And I guess even drinking, you've got the wine, but if somebody comes there, they want the fresh air, they want all that stuff, and somebody's smoking somewhere or whatever. I mean,
Sure.
it's not just them, it's the people around them smell it, or
Oh, I
breathing it.
get you. I totally get you. I totally get you. The and we really did. We used to have very strict rules because we're not pot smokers, and we would rather not have that be part of our image. So we are not 420 friendly, which a lot of Airbnbs actually will publicize and put it out there. Hey, 420 friendly. That usually means we're potheads too, and we just want to smoke a bunch of dope together. And then places stink and things like that. And it just
Exactly.
brings down the image of the whole place.
Yep.
However, we don't say you can't smoke marijuana. Just not in the tent. Just the same thing. Whatever tobacco says no to, marijuana is along with it. So no smoking in the tent. You can smoke outside, and no parties. We say no parties. If it gets out of hand, we'll have to have a talk with you. And marijuana smokers really don't get out of hand. They don't. That's the drinkers do sometimes, but not marijuana smokers. And that's just the reality of living in Colorado, is the way we look at it. So yeah, we try to limit our rules as much as possible. That's kind of it's almost like a copywriting thing. I've been to Airbnbs and vacation rentals where the rules are like 5 pages long, and I was like, oh geez, and I feel like unwelcome. So we do say, well, we don't even say this. We used to say no illegal substances. We don't even say that anymore because it's illegal.
Right, right,
So they have them anyway. Why do I have to write a rule to tell you to do something you're not supposed to be doing?
right.
Um,
But now it's legal for that too. I
yeah.
just know even like in the
You
parking
know,
lot,
no smoking indoors. That's our rule. Yeah.
when I am even like at
Also, we're
Walmart,
kind of expensive, so it's not like we're not attracting the hippie type who
right,
are messy and just not the kind of character we want around here. We don't get a lot of them. We get the young couple. They make money, and they can afford a $300 night, and they think it's a great deal actually, and they want to have a nice time together.
right,
That's more of the person that we attract.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that even like when I'm at Walmart and I'm walking through the parking lot to get to my car and I'm like, what is that
Oh,
stench?
yeah.
And
Yeah.
apparently it's somebody, smoking, or I mean, I can smell cigarette smoke too from a long,
Yeah.
away, but I'm just like, it smells like skunk. What the heck?
Yeah.
And I'm naive about the whole thing, so it's just like whoever I'm with is just like, it's
Yeah.
marijuana, and I'm just like, because I've never, not my thing. I don't judge you, but just I don't want to be breathing any of that in. I don't want to smell
Yeah, yeah. And we don't have a lot that come on the land to do it.
Okay,
So
cool. So, Chris, what have we missed? Is there anything that you want to let my audience know that we didn't
yeah,
cover?
I would give you two websites. Go to monumentglamping.com. That's a place to go if you want a nice glamping experience. And then glampingguy.com or school.com/gold is our community of landowners who are turning their land into revenue generating assets.
Awesome.
And
Yeah, those
that's
are
if you really want to communicate with me, want to talk to me more. That the school community is really where these are my friends. They're from all over the world. We've got
yep.
people from Europe and Asia and stuff. They're doing the same thing, and it's a fun group. So
I'll join yours and you can join mine.
sounds good. It's a plan. Our school communities.
Exactly. I love school.
Yeah.
So, okay. So those are two things. Anything else?
Nope.
We pretty much
It was
covered it.
wonderful. It was wonderful being on here, Sandy. It was a nice long conversation. It was good. It was
I
fun.
know, I love it. Well, Chris, thank you for sharing your journey from classroom to creating this incredible escape. For everyone ready to experience glamping for themselves, head to monumentglamping.com to book your stay. Conversations like this remind me why I started these interviews, because behind every local business is a person with a dream who took a leap, just like you, Chris. You and Wendy's, both of your stories proves that sometimes the best adventures start right in your own backyard. So if you enjoyed hearing Chris's story, you'll love what's coming up next week. Make sure you subscribe to cos.towntidings.com so you never miss those inspiring local stories delivered straight to your inbox. I'm Sandy Boble Zuniga, celebrating our city one business at a time. I'll see you next week, and thank you so much, Chris.
Yeah, thank you, Sandy.